Now, in this video, we want to learn how to clean and transform a dirty data. We are going to close our previous Power BI project. We can just save it, the Global Superstore project. We are going to save it, make sure it is saved. Then we can close it so that we open a new Power BI project that we are going to connect to clean and transform the data with using Power Query and load it into the Power BI desktop. Okay, we are good to go. I'm going to close this guy and I have another Power BI desktop opened and I'm just going to click on discard changes, discard. Yeah, good. This is my new Power BI desktop that I have opened. And I'm going to try and connect to the dirty data, which is in the course file. If you have not downloaded it, you should download it. First of all times, if your data is in Excel, CSV, it's good to open it and see how it looks. Just check how it looks inside Excel. This is my data inside Excel. We have 31, 32, and 33. We want to learn how to clean these three dirty data. And we have their equivalent clean form in clean 1, clean 2, clean 3 that has been provided. In real life, you are not going to have clean 1, clean 2, clean 3. You may only have an idea of how your clean data should look like, but you are not going to have the exact clean data. So you are the one that wants to create the clean data from the dirty data. But you should have an information like which columns do I want? What data do we want from this project and things like that. Okay, let us go to Power BI and connect to Power Query. In case you don't know, you can also connect to Power Query in Excel and clean this data if you want to work within Excel. Or even if you don't want to do your transformation in Power Query of Power BI, you could use the Power Query of Excel, clean your data and connect to the clean data inside what? Inside the Power Query of Power BI. So you are not going to be doing any transformation in Power Query of Power BI in that case. But let us use the Power BI since that is what this course is about. Let us get the data. It is an Excel file. Then we select get dirty data. And the tables we need are which tables? We need the 31, 32, and 33. You would observe that this is our dirty data that we want. We also have the clean 1, clean 2, clean 3, table 2, table 3, table 4. We do not need that. Let us just click on transform data. Let us start from 31. We can see column 1. We have bio data with information on name, email, age, city of birth. This looks like something that should be an header, like a column header, but in this case, it's not a column header. There's nothing we want to do about it. We can just try and promote the headers, but the names are too long. But it gives us some information. It gives me an information that in this particular dirty data, I have some columns I'm expecting. I'm expecting the name as a column, email as a column, age as a column, city of birth as a column, and gender as a column. But if you click on a row, you are going to see that this is what I have, which means that there are a lot of stuffs you don't need there. What can I do? I need to know the problems with the data. If you try and look at the golden rules, you are going to see that some of the rules have been flouted, like converting to appropriate data types and missing values and a lot of other things. And every unique data should have its own column. That's one of the problems that we have. We have everything in a single column in this particular file. Let us just go back to the Power BI interface, the Power Query interface, and let's start working. Let us first of all go to transform. Under the transform tab, we are going to go to transform tab and use first row as headers. Now we have our first row as headers. We may still keep it. We are going to rename it later. Let's just leave it as it is. Now we want to observe the data. What do I need? I need name. I need some things in this data. We can try and write it down somewhere. I need name, I need email, and other things that we have observed. You could also check the clean data to see what you are expecting. Full name, email, age, city, and gender. That is what I am expecting. Okay. Now, in order to do that, we've promoted the headers. The good thing about Power Query is that when you work with Power Query, it also records the step. So if you don't want a particular step, you could delete that step. That is just how it works. So it records the step. So you don't need to do any Ctrl Z like undo. Just delete the step that you don't want, or you can go back to a particular step. You can do all that. Let us repeat the step that we deleted. Use first row as headers. We bring it back again. You can see it has recorded it, and it has done something again. It's changed the types. Let's leave that as it is. Now we want to extract the name. You would observe that in each of these entries, we have email, 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 email. That is good. You can see it is common to all the rows. What I can do is under transform, I have what I call split column. So you can split your column by several things. But according to what I have here, what may be easiest for me is to split by a delimiter. And I'm going to click on delimiter. And we have several delimiters that we could use. But in this case, the delimiter we are going to use is email. And we are going to click on leftmost delimiter. And we click on OK. Now, the tables have been splitted into two. We have two columns now. This is our name. Now, I want to extract my email. We can see now that the email, or what is supposed to be email, is before a number, which looks like age. In order to do that, we could also use split column again. We come to split column, but we are going to use something else. We can see that we have digits to non-digits. Our email is non-digits. If I do that, and our number that we have here is a digit. So if I click on non-digit to digits, you can see now it has splitted it. Okay, now I come here again. That is how easy Power Query is. I come here again. You can see now that I want to extract the number. There are several ways I could extract the number. You can see that after the number, we have another delimiter, which looks like a semicolon. I could just come to extract and say that text before delimiter is what I want. But if I use extract, which is text before delimiter, it deletes everything that I have. Let's try it. Text before delimiter. And what is delimiter? It is a semicolon. I click on OK. Now everything is gone. That is not what I want. And that is the difference between extract and split column. I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to use split column instead. And I'm going to say that, okay, I want to split column based on what? Digits to non-digits. Or I can use delimiter. We can use anything. We have a semicolon and I can say leftmost delimiter. And I click on OK. Now the columns have been splitted. Good. Good. Everything is looking good. Now we can see now that years and hash that we have here, they are not needed. But after the years, if we go back again to our clean data, you can see now that I have city. What I need to do is I want to extract things between years and gender. Everything I have between years and gender. There are several ways you could do it. There are several ways. There is no one way to clean a particular dirty data. I can decide to split column again. I can decide to split the column again. And if I come to split column, I can use delimiter. In this case, you could use a space delimiter because after or before gender, you can see there is a space. I'm going to just delete this and put a space. Leftmost delimiter again. Now everything looks good. Everything looks good. I have this. I want to extract the city, and this place I want to extract the particular gender, whether male or female. I can just come here and say that extract, which is text after delimiter. And my delimiter in this case can be gender. I just type everything and it extracts the genders for me. In this case, I can do what again? I can do extract and I can do split column, but it's better to use extract. But I want to show us another method to do this. There are several ways you could do this particular step. You could come to add column. When you come to add column and you say column from examples, and which particular column do you want to do? You want to work with this. Let us uncheck others. I'm going to uncheck this. This is what I want to use as an example. And I just want to provide it as an example of what I want. I'm going to type what I want. I'm going to go to the next entry. You can see, once I go to the next entry with enter, you can see it tries to look at it and it is asking me. You can see it is still grayed out. Is this what you want? Yes, this looks like what I want. If it is not what you want, you can give it more example. And you can see now, it looks at it and looks at the pattern based on what you have provided. And it has written some code, which is test after delimiter again. And you click on OK, which looks good, You can use this particular step also. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't work well. Sometimes it works, you need to modify it. But in this case, it works. I'm just trying to show you that there are several ways to transform and clean your particular dirty data. And you can see now that it has used test after delimiter as a function. You could have also written an M code for this particular step. There are several ways to clean data. Let us just come over here now and rename our columns. This particular first column, we call it name. We call this guy email, and we come here, we call it age. It seems we don't need this. We remove the column. And this guy, we call it gender. This is going to be city. Now everything looks good, but we still have some problems. If you come to email, you can observe that we have two @s here. You could also use column from examples, or you could just right click here and click on replace values. Anytime you see two @, replace it with 1. And that's fast. You could have also do column from examples. It is going to work. You can write your M code. M code is the language. M is the language for Power Query. For each of these steps, it is writing a particular M code in the background. This name also, when you come here, you can see now that the names are in proper case. The first name starts with a capital letter. The last name starts with a capital letter. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to try and put it in proper case. In order to do this, you could also use column from examples. You could write your own M code, and I'm going to show you writing an M code. How to do that? Let's come to add column and we put custom column. I'm going to call the name of my new column full name, and I'm going to write an M code here. When you want to change a case from lowercase to proper case or uppercase, there are functions you use. Fortunately, that function is almost the same as what we have in Power Query, which is text.proper. And you can see it tells you, capitalizes the first letter of each word. I'm just going to bring the column that I want, which is name. I'm going to double click it and I'm going to close the bracket. Once your code is correct, there's no syntax error, it is going to mark it here. If I don't close it, you can see now that it's telling me expected. That is one thing that is good about this particular M code in the custom column. And we click on OK. Now we have it in the proper case. In this case, you can see now that at the column headers, you can see now for each row of these headers, we can see ABC 1, 2, 3. And this is ABC. This is 1, 2, 3. These are data type. It means that the data type for this age is O number. This particular ABC, if you click on it, it means the data type is what? Text. We have several data types. But this ABC 1, 2, 3 is any data type. So we need to convert this name to the proper data type, which is what? The proper data type in this case is going to be a text. Then we click on text. Everything looks good. Now we have full name, we have name. We don't need this particular name. We can remove this column. And the full name, we want it to be the first column. We just move it. We move it with your mouse. You hold your left mouse button and you move to wherever you want. And we have done successfully cleaning our dirty one data. I can go to dirty 2 and clean it again. I go to dirty 3 and clean it again. One thing I need you to take note of is for each of these steps that we have here, it is recording it inside the advanced editor. When you come home and you click on advanced editor, you can see these are all the steps. These are the M codes. In actual sense, you could copy this particular code and use it to clean this exam data again elsewhere. If I copy this code and I click on done, I could go to Excel and connect to Power Query in Excel. Like I mentioned earlier, I can come to data and get data. I'm just going to say that it should go to, we could use blank query. This is Power Query inside Excel. The Power Query editor inside Excel. I'm going to click on Advanced Editor and I'm just going to copy and paste everything I have from my Power Query of Power BI, the steps that have been applied. And I'm going to click on Done. You can see all the steps again have been repeated. This is exact thing I have in Power Query of Power BI. That is the code which I've copied here. I have not applied any step and I can close and load it in anywhere I want. But this is not an Excel class. Let's go back to our Power BI. I just want to show you how it works. We are done with 31. Let us go to 32 now. In 32, this data is from World Bank Development Indicators. I have just extracted some data from their website. And if you want to work with World Bank data, you are interested in some work, you can go to their website. There are a lot of data there. Anything you are interested in, we have a lot of data that World Bank has. Just come to the website. This is the link and you can work with it. Good. What is the problem with this data? Based on the rules we have here. Based on the rules we have here, we can quickly see some of the problems. For example, we talked about dates should be in a single column. Every unique data should have its own column. So you can see now that we have a particular development indicator of Afghanistan, Albania, different countries. This is telling us that there are only 5 internet users per 100 people in 2011. Then, and so on and so forth. These are the values for the particular categories that we have here. And we have the dates on different columns. We can see this is not how our data should look like. What can we do? What we can do is we can unpivot these columns, these 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. We can unpivot those columns. In order to do that, I can just hold down my Control key on the keyboard. I select country name, country code, series, and this series code. And I'm going to right click. And we can see now that we have unpivot columns, unpivot other columns, and unpivot only selected columns. The columns I actually want to unpivot they are the columns for that as the years, as the headers. It is unpivot other columns that I'm going to do. Now you can see in a step, in a click of button, it has transformed these columns. It has unpivoted those columns. Again, you are going to look, series code, do I need this column in my analysis or not? I do not need it in my analysis. I'm going to remove it. Now this attribute column is supposed to be year. I'm going to rename it as year. After doing that, you can see now that it has some information that I do not need. After the year, we have 2011 space or a square bracket. I want to remove everything after the year. What do I need to do? There are several ways we can do that. Let us just quickly use extract. We come to transform. Then we have extract. We want to extract something before a delimiter. And because our year is also fixed length, it's 4 digits. So you could also use first characters. There are several ways to do that. Let us try it with first characters. And I'm going to say that count is 4. And I click on OK. Good. You can see that it has extracted it. But remember, according to our golden rules, we have dates, we have converting to appropriate data types. The data type for this year should be whole number. I click on ABC and it's converted to whole number. That is not the only way to change the data type. You could also come to home, and under home, you have data type here and you can convert it to what? To whole number. Good. Then we have our value here. We can see that it has some problems. For example, look at this entry. For Afghanistan in 2022, we do not have the data yet. It is a missing value. The question is, what do we do in this case? Missing value for Afghanistan. Are we going to input it? Are we going to remove it? Are we going to make assumption based on the value of 2021 for Afghanistan? These are some of the questions. In this case, because the data does not exist yet, I only want to do analysis on what I have that is existing. I do not need to input or make an assumption. I can decide to remove those rows with missing values. We can see now that all rows with missing values, they have like two dots, like two periods in it. That is one way to remove it. And if you want to check everything you have here again, you could also come to view and you click on column distribution. It gives you an idea of what you have. It doesn't tell me the distribution because the data type here, it has some problems. That is one thing. If I click on column profile, you can say column quality. It's telling me everything is valid. Okay, good. I uncheck it. What I'm going to do now is, let us first of all remove things we do not need. We scroll down here, we can uncheck the two periods. Now it has removed those rows with empty values, with missing values. And I can convert my data type to what I want. So we should use fixed decimal number. If I decide to delete these last two steps, and I decide to convert first of all to whole number or to fixed decimal number, you can see now that we have some errors. These errors are in places that could not be converted. That is why we have errors, because it is a punctuation that you have there. Two periods, two dots. That is why you have the error. And you could also right click and say remove errors. But this is not always best because you want to know why you have error. Sometimes error should be something you correct, not something you remove. And that is why maybe what we did at first is a better method. And we convert to fixed decimal number. Good. So everything looks good. We can check if everything looks good. We can come to column distribution. Okay, everything looks good. Column profile. Is there any error? Zero errors. This column distribution, column profile is always a good way to look at how our data looks like even before we do any analysis. And we can check the column quality again. The column quality gives information about value, valid, error, and empty. It tells you that information. If you uncheck it, you can see now that you do not have that information again. If you uncheck column distribution, it is going to remove everything you have here. If you uncheck column distribution, it is going to remove everything you have just under the headers. And if you uncheck column profile, it removes all the statistics that you have here. And that is that about dirty. I hope you are following along. Good. Now let us move on to cleaning dirty 3 data. Now, this looks like an interesting problem to solve. This data again was provided by Foresight BI. We could go to their website, and this is their website, and they have some samples of dirty data, which we are cleaning just one of them. This is the one we want to clean. Now we want to clean our dirty. In Power Query, one thing we need to take note of is sometimes the apply steps we have here, it will have done something for you, like promoted headers and change type. It does this automatically most of the time. Sometimes it is good for you, sometimes it is not good for you. We are going to figure out now. This is the data we have. Let us go back to the clean data. We want to have an idea of how the clean data looks like. This is the clean data, and this is how it looks like. We can see we have 5 columns. Okay. And let's go back to our query. Look at what we have. We can see the values. They are all scattered around in all the columns. And if we go back again to our golden rules, we can see that we have a lot of problems, like date should be in a single column. Every unique data should have its own column. Converting to appropriate data types. Undo missing values. These are some of the problems wrong with this data. What can we do? If we look at this data, if we try to do something like a transpose first, that is what comes to my mind. And I do a transpose. And after doing my transpose, I try to promote the headers again. You can see this does not lead anywhere. Anyway, when we try to do this, I can delete this step. When you want to clean a data, it's sometimes very challenging. Sometimes you spend a lot of time cleaning data. So you need to just try several methods. There's no really a standard or this is what you should do first. It all depends on experience once you have been cleaning data or with the particular data. Sometimes you could spend days, hours cleaning data. Okay, let's try something else. Let's try and delete the step that Power Query has done for us. Let's delete it. Then let's try and do the transpose again. Then after we've done the transpose, we can now promote the headers now. Good. And we can see this first class, null, null, same day, null, null. It looks like this empty or missing value here is a first class, is first class. All these places are first class. What can we do? We can decide to fill down. We fill down and we can see now that this is complete. Then we select these two columns and we do what we call pivot other column. Good. But we can see that there is a problem here. What is the problem? The problem now is that we do not have our values again. The values here, the values here, the values here, they have suddenly disappeared. Then let us look at where are they hidden. They are not hidden here. Let's come to this place. They are hidden here. Good. What can we do? We can see now that other dates and the values, the sales value, are in a single column. What we can do here, the problem is because we unpivoted and we have two columns here. It does not know how to handle it. Power Query does not know how to handle it once you want to unpivot based on two columns. What we can do is to try and combine these two columns as one before we do our unpivoting. What I can do is to come back here and look at what step do I need to do this. Should I do it before I transpose or after I transpose? It looks like you can see these are the other dates and these are the other ID. It looks like we should do it before we transpose. Good. Let us do that. If you try to do that now and you try to merge based on these two columns, you can see I go back to some step before and I try to combine and I can use, we can see now that we have some things here. We cannot merge based on iPhone. It will be more difficult for us, or based on /. It will be more difficult for us. I want to use equal sign and I create a new column, which is other ID. After doing that, it has combined it as one. Then I transpose, promote the headers, change type. Now we have a problem because some columns were not found. What I would do instead of inserting that particular step, I would just delete and do everything again. You can see this is what happens when you clean data. You need to be ready to fail, ready to make mistakes, have some errors. Then you go back again, you do it, you go back again, you do it. So we've merged. Then what do we do next? We transpose. After transposing, what do we do next? We promote the headers. After promoting the headers, what do we do next? We fill down. And after filling down, we can now do pivot other column or other columns. Now everything looks good. What we can do now is to do what? We can see the names have problem here. The names have problem here. But we now have our other ID and other dates in a single column. And remember, according to this rule, what does it state? Every unique data should have its own column. What do? We need to find a way to split it. I'm just going to come to transform split column based on delimiter. And I'm going to use the equal sign delimiter, the leftmost delimiter. Okay. You can see it's splitted now. I have my dates here. I'm going to put dates here. And I'm going to put other ID, or we could call it other dates. Now, what do we do next? We can rename this ship mode, remove the equals to, then the segments, remove the equals to. I want to check my columns one by one. I'm going to come to view and I'm going to come to column distribution or column profile. Now it's telling me this is what I have in this column. So it looks like this column, the ship modes are okay. I'm going to come to segments. These are okay also. I'm going to come to other dates. It shows me all the dates, but it's telling me that there are 12 empty. Let's take note of that. Then I'm going to come to other ID. I'm going to check the column quality again. Column distribution. Now you can see grand total. Remember, according to this rule, there should be no total or subtotal anywhere in your data. What should we do? We need to remove this total. That is one of the benefits of showing column distribution or column profile anytime you work. Let us just uncheck the column distribution. This is the column profile. Now we can see now that we have grand total, which we should not have. Everything, we know one of the problems now. We can check this null that we have here, this empty. Let us just check. What do we have under null? You see, the null rows are the ones that have total. What we can do is we can just uncheck null here. and the total will be removed. You can see we do not have total again. Another thing we could have done is, let's delete this step and just come over here and we click on test filters does not contain. We do not want it to contain anything that has total. Then we click on, you can see both of them works. Both of them works. Now we come over here, we need to check the data type and we convert it to date, which is in date already anyway. This is in a good data type that we want text. Then value is going to be in decimal number. Then we change it to fixed decimal number. Now we have properly transformed and cleaned our dirty data theory. So 31, 32, and 33 have been cleaned. So this is just one exercise. This is an example. It is an idea. It is just the way I will clean it. Somebody else can clean in another way, maybe much more faster. But again, know that when you clean and transform data, it is not something you are able to do just once by saying the data. It comes with experience. It comes with how dirty is the data. And that will determine how you are going to clean and how fast you are going to be able to clean. And that is all about cleaning dirty data. We are going to be working on data modeling and transforming our data again using our Superstore data in our next set of videos. Thank you. But before we close, this particular data, we could close and apply it. It's in Power Query of Power BI anyway. You could close and apply it and it gets loaded into Power BI. But remember, we do not have anything we want to use to do in Power BI. It is just there. You can save it. And again, you can always go back to transform data. 32 again, you can check the advanced editor to see the M code that have been written. 33, come to advanced editor and you can see the M codes that have been written. And that is all about that. I'm going to close and apply and save this particular Power BI desktop file and save it as cleaning dirty data.